The galaxy made one mistake. They laughed at humanity. They saw metal bullets, combustion engines, nuclear fire. They thought we were behind. They forgot one thing. Humans do not surrender. When pushed to the edge, we adapt. We endure. And if we must, we make the sky burn. The Galactic Dominion had conquered more than 300 civilizations before they found Earth. Most worlds fell in days. Some resisted for a few months. None survived for long. When the Dominion scouts studied humanity, they believed Earth would fall within 3 weeks. Humans were divided into nations. They still used guns that fired metal bullets. They used rockets powered by fuel explosions. Their strongest weapons were nuclear missiles, a technology the Dominion had stopped using thousands of years ago. On the Dominion flagship orbiting far from Earth, Commander Vacor stood in front of a large holographic display showing Earth's military systems. His officers watched carefully, but many of them were smiling. They saw aircraft carriers floating in oceans, fighter jets launching from runways, submarines hiding underwater, and missile silos built in deserts and mountains. Everything depended on combustion engines and chemical reactions. There were no energy shields, no plasma cannons, no gravity weapons. One officer quietly laughed and said that humans were still fighting like ancient species from the early expansion age. Another officer agreed and said Earth would be an easy victory. Commander Vacor did not laugh loudly, but he also believed the invasion would be simple. He ordered Phase 1 of the conquest to begin. When the Dominion fleet entered Earth's atmosphere, human radar systems detected them almost immediately. Warning alarms sounded across military bases around the world. Governments activated defense protocols. Fighter jets launched within minutes. Missile systems prepared for rapid fire. Human soldiers did not fully understand what they were facing, but they reacted quickly. Hundreds of missiles were launched from land and sea toward the descending alien ships. From the ground, people saw bright lights in the sky as the first battle began. The missiles struck the alien fleet, creating large explosions in the air. Fire and smoke spread across the clouds. For a brief moment, it looked like the attack might work. But when the smoke cleared, the Dominion ships were still there. Blue energy shields surrounded them, blocking the explosions completely. Human fighter jets fired bullets and heavy cannon rounds. The projectiles hit invisible shield walls and fell uselessly toward the ground. The alien officers on the flagship watched calmly. They recorded the battle as proof of human weakness. Their shields were designed to handle far more powerful weapons than this. However, something unusual happened. Human attacks did not slow down. Instead of retreating, Earth increased launch activity. More missiles were prepared. Submarines changed position in the oceans. Underground bunkers that had not been used in decades became active again. Secure communication networks carried coded messages between world leaders. The Dominion sensors detected rising heat signatures across multiple continents. Commander Vacor noticed the increase and asked for clarification. His analysts reported that high-yield launch systems were being prepared worldwide. At first, the Dominion officers were not concerned. They believed their shields could handle any nuclear explosion, but they did not understand the real human strategy yet. Humanity had learned through centuries of war that survival sometimes required extreme decisions. Deep underground, launch keys were turned. Missile doors opened slowly across the planet. The order was clear. If Earth was going to fall, the enemy would pay a heavy price. One by one, nuclear missiles ignited and began rising into the sky. As they climbed higher into the upper atmosphere, the world watched in silence. Humanity was about to show the galaxy that being primitive did not mean being helpless. The nuclear missiles climbed higher into the atmosphere at incredible speed. Dominion sensors detected them immediately, but the alien commanders were not worried. Their shields were built to survive supernovas and plasma storms. Simple atomic weapons did not scare them. On the flagship, Commander Vacor watched calmly as the first human warhead reached the correct altitude. The missile did not aim directly at a ship. Instead, it detonated high above the fleet. A blinding flash filled space. For a brief second, the sky looked like a second sun had appeared. The explosion released powerful radiation and a massive electromagnetic pulse. The alien shields absorbed most of the direct energy, but their systems registered unusual interference. Before the officers could fully analyze the data, more warheads exploded. Then more. Dozens of nuclear bursts detonated in carefully planned positions across the upper atmosphere. The Dominion fleet was suddenly surrounded by overlapping waves of radiation and electromagnetic disruption. From Earth's surface, the sky began to glow red. Ionized particles filled the upper atmosphere, reacting with the powerful nuclear bursts. It looked like a giant red storm covering the planet. News cameras captured the strange light as people watched in fear and confusion. This was not random destruction. The detonations were placed in specific patterns, forming layers of electromagnetic chaos around Earth. Dominion shield systems started to experience harmonic instability. Their shields were designed to block strong but clean energy attacks. What they faced now was different. Radiation spikes, EMP waves, and charged particles interfered with their shield frequency balance. Engineers on the alien ships began recalibrating systems to compensate. They still believed the situation was manageable. Then the second wave arrived. Human submarines launched additional missiles from deep under the oceans. These warheads detonated at slightly different altitudes, adding more pressure to the shield systems. At the same time, ground-based transmitters and surviving satellites activated powerful microwave emissions directed toward specific Dominion frequencies. The red ionized sky acted like a giant amplifier, spreading the interference even further. Shield coherence across the fleet dropped slightly. It was a small change, but for the first time, Dominion officers stopped smiling. One cruiser reported a shield flicker lasting less than a second. That moment was enough. A human missile struck the unprotected section of the hull. The explosion was small compared to alien weapons, but without shields, the damage was real. Metal tore open, and parts of the ship lost pressure. It was the first visible injury to the Dominion fleet. Commander Vacor stepped closer to the tactical display. He realized that humans were not trying to overpower them with strength. They were overwhelming them with layers. Nuclear bursts disturbed the atmosphere. Electromagnetic pulses weakened shield stability. Microwave signals targeted specific frequencies. Conventional missiles waited for tiny gaps. Each system alone was weak, but together they created constant stress. Another shield flicker occurred on a different ship. Another impact followed. A second cruiser was damaged. The Dominion fleet had never experienced this kind of attack from a less advanced species. Humans were using old science in creative ways. They were willing to risk their own atmosphere to disrupt their enemy. As more detonations filled the sky, the red glow intensified. The alien fleet was still powerful, but for the first time, it was no longer perfectly protected. The Dominion had expected fear and surrender. Instead, they were facing strategy and sacrifice. And the battle above Earth was only beginning. The Dominion fleet had never faced this kind of resistance from a less advanced world. Even with shield interference, their ships were still powerful. Commander Vacor quickly gave a new order. If humans wanted to turn the sky into chaos, the Dominion would answer with overwhelming force. Large energy cannons on the alien ships slowly rotated toward Earth. Within seconds, bright beams of concentrated energy fired downward. One beam struck a military base near the ocean. The impact created a massive explosion of steam as water instantly evaporated. Another beam hit a desert missile site, turning sand into glass. Around the world, human defense locations were destroyed in seconds. The Dominion officers believed this would break human coordination. No planet had ever continued fighting after such direct orbital strikes. But Earth did not fall silent. Instead of retreating, humans adapted again. While some military bases were destroyed, others remained active. Hidden facilities deep underground continued sending commands. New launch signals appeared on Dominion sensors. At first, alien analysts thought more nuclear missiles were coming. But the objects entering orbit were smaller and faster. Hundreds of satellites, some old and some newly launched, began activating at the same time. Many of them had originally been built for communication or research. Now they were repurposed for war. Each satellite released focused microwave bursts aimed directly at Dominion shield frequencies. Combined with the red ionized atmosphere, the interference increased dramatically. Alien shield systems struggled to stabilize under constant disruption. At the same time, new weapons fired from Earth's surface. Railgun installations, hidden in secure locations, launched solid metal rods at extreme speeds. These weapons did not use explosives. They relied on pure velocity and mass. When shield flickers occurred, even for less than a second, the rod struck with devastating force. One Dominion destroyer lost shield stability for just a brief moment. A railgun projectile hit its side, piercing through the hull and causing internal damage. The ship began to spin out of formation. Another vessel suffered similar damage. The Dominion fleet was no longer moving in perfect coordination. Small gaps and delays appeared in their formations. For the first time in centuries, Dominion ships were forced to maneuver defensively instead of advancing confidently. Then Dominion sensors detected something even more troubling. Deep below Earth's surface, in a location near the equator, unusual energy readings appeared. These were not nuclear signatures. They were gravitational fluctuations. Commander Vacor demanded immediate analysis. The data showed controlled disturbances in Earth's magnetic and gravitational fields. It seemed impossible. Gravity manipulation required advanced technology far beyond what humans had shown. Yet the readings were real. Underground, scientists had activated Project Red Horizon. It was a classified system designed to interact with Earth's natural forces. Instead of creating gravity, it carefully disturbed existing gravitational balance using powerful synchronized pulses. The earlier nuclear detonations had not only attacked the fleet, they had prepared the upper atmosphere to act as a conductor. Now, as Red Horizon began sending controlled energy waves through Earth's core and magnetic field, the effects reached into orbit. Dominion ships felt subtle but growing pressure. Navigation systems started giving unstable readings. Artificial gravity inside the ships flickered. Some crew members struggled to stay balanced as the ships experienced uneven forces. The Dominion had faced strong enemies before, but never one that used its own planet as part of the weapon. Earth was no longer just the battlefield. It was becoming the weapon itself. And the balance of power in orbit was slowly beginning to change. Project Red Horizon was never meant to be used in open war. It was designed as a last defense system in case Earth ever faced extinction. Deep underground, near the equator, massive machines surrounded a reinforced core chamber. Powerful superconducting rings rotated at high speed, creating controlled energy pulses. These pulses were not explosions. They were carefully calculated disturbances sent into Earth's magnetic field and outer core. Scientists had discovered that small, synchronized disruptions could slightly affect gravitational balance in near orbit. The effect was weak by itself, but when combined with the already ionized red atmosphere, it became much stronger. As the system powered up, warning alarms filled the underground facility. Engineers watched their screens closely. They knew the risks. If the energy pulses became unstable, Earth's magnetic field could weaken. Solar radiation might increase. Communication systems could fail worldwide. But the alternative was worse. In orbit, Dominion ships were still firing energy beams at military targets. Major cities were being threatened. Human leaders had approved Red Horizon as a final measure. Survival required risk. The first full gravitational pulse moved upward from Earth. It was invisible and silent, but Dominion sensors detected the distortion instantly. Space around the fleet bent slightly, like a thin sheet under pressure. Navigation computers struggled to calculate correct positions. Several smaller alien ships drifted slightly off their planned paths. Engineers aboard those vessels increased stabilizer power, believing it was a temporary problem. Then the second pulse arrived, stronger than the first. Artificial gravity systems inside Dominion ships flickered. Crew members grabbed support rails as floors tilted for a brief moment. The distortion was not strong enough to destroy them yet, but it was enough to create instability. Commander Vacor studied the tactical display carefully. He understood something important. Humans were not trying to match Dominion technology directly. They were creating conditions where advanced systems could not function correctly. Shield harmonics were still recovering from electromagnetic interference. Now gravitational balance was also unstable. The combination created unpredictable results. One Dominion cruiser attempted to adjust orbit quickly to escape the disturbance zone. The uneven gravitational field pulled at different parts of the hull with slightly different force. Structural stress increased beyond safe limits. A loud internal rupture occurred, and the ship broke apart slowly as metal beams failed under pressure. Back on Earth, Red Horizon increased output gradually. Scientists monitored seismic activity and magnetic fluctuations carefully. Small tremors were detected in deep ocean fault lines. These tremors were controlled and limited, but they added to the gravitational resonance effect. Human satellites adjusted their positions to strengthen synchronization. The earlier red ionosphere now acted as an amplifier, helping energy waves spread more effectively through near orbit. Dominion ships found it harder to maintain perfect formation. Some attempted to retreat higher into space, but the distortions extended farther than expected. For the first time in Dominion history, their fleet was not fully in control of the battlefield. They had superior weapons, stronger shields, and advanced technology. But none of that mattered if navigation and stability failed. Vacor realized that humans were using layered strategy once again. Nuclear detonations created atmospheric interference. Satellites targeted shield frequencies. Railguns exploited small weaknesses. Now gravity disturbances attacked the fleet's movement itself. Earth was fighting as one system, not as separate weapons. Inside the Red Horizon chamber, energy levels continued rising. Engineers warned that pushing beyond current limits could damage Earth permanently. Magnetic stress indicators were increasing slowly. The next pulse would be much stronger. If released at full strength, it could tear apart large sections of the Dominion fleet. It could also create unknown long-term consequences for the planet. Humanity stood at a dangerous edge. Above them, alien ships struggled against bending space, and the decision to push further had not yet been made. Inside the Red Horizon control facility, tension filled the air. Energy levels were rising toward maximum capacity. Large screens showed real-time data from orbit, Earth's magnetic field, and deep core sensors. Engineers could see that the gravitational pulses were working. Several Dominion ships were damaged, and their fleet formation was no longer stable. But the data also showed growing stress on Earth itself. Magnetic field fluctuations were increasing slowly. Solar radiation levels were slightly higher than normal. Seismic readings showed controlled tremors in deep ocean regions. Everything was still within calculated limits, but those limits were getting close to the danger zone. The mission director looked at his team and asked for final projections. The lead scientist explained that one more full power pulse could break the Dominion flagship and possibly destroy a large part of the fleet. However, the long-term effect on Earth's magnetic stability was uncertain. There was a chance the magnetosphere could weaken for years. That would affect satellites, power grids, and even climate patterns. It would not destroy the planet instantly, but it would create serious global problems. The room became silent. Humanity had never tested Red Horizon at full power in real conditions. This was a real war, not a simulation. In orbit, the Dominion flagship struggled to maintain position. Artificial gravity systems inside the massive ship were operating at maximum strength. Crew members reported system overloads in several sections. Commander Vacor understood that his fleet was trapped in an unstable gravitational field. Escape required stable FTL calculations, but space around Earth was distorted. Every attempt to prepare for faster-than-light travel resulted in navigation errors. Several smaller ships that tried to jump had suffered critical failures. The Dominion had faced strong enemies before, but never one that turned its own planet into a defensive system. Vacor made a decision that no Dominion commander had ever made during a conquest. He ordered all weapons to power down temporarily and opened a direct communication channel to Earth. The signal was not encrypted. It was sent openly on multiple frequencies. His message was clear and direct. He admitted that the Dominion had misjudged humanity's defensive capability. He requested immediate negotiation to prevent further destruction on both sides. For a moment, silence followed the transmission. Human command centers around the world received the message and quickly confirmed its authenticity. Back in the Red Horizon chamber, leaders listened carefully. Some military officers argued that this was the perfect moment to finish the fleet. The Dominion had invaded without warning. They had destroyed cities and military bases. They deserved no mercy. Others argued that pushing the final pulse could cause long-term damage to Earth that might weaken humanity for decades. The debate lasted only minutes, but it felt much longer. Humanity now had the advantage, but victory at any cost was not true survival. Energy levels continued rising toward automatic discharge limits. If no manual decision was made, the system would release the pulse on its own to protect internal stability. The mission director requested immediate global consensus. Within moments, a unified response came from Earth's leadership councils. The order was given to pause at maximum safe containment and wait for confirmation from orbit. Red Horizon held at critical charge, ready but not released. In orbit, Dominion ships drifted in unstable patterns, waiting. The red glow in the sky was fading slightly as nuclear interference decreased. Both sides stood at the edge of destruction. Humanity had proven it could fight back. The Dominion had realized Earth was not weak. Now the final outcome depended not on power, but on choice. Red Horizon remained at critical charge while Earth waited for the Dominion's next move. Inside the underground control chamber, the energy rings continued spinning at maximum safe containment. Engineers monitored every reading closely. If the system stayed at this level too long, it could still cause damage. A decision had to be made soon. Around the world, military forces stayed on high alert. Missile systems were ready. Satellites remained in attack position. Submarines held launch codes. Humanity was prepared to act if the Dominion showed any sign of betrayal. In orbit, the Dominion flagship floated unsteadily within the distorted gravitational field. Commander Vacor stood on the bridge, watching Earth through the main display. He had spent his life leading successful conquests. He had never requested negotiation before, but he understood something important now. Humanity was not technologically superior, but they were strategically dangerous. They accepted risks other species would avoid. They layered simple systems into powerful combinations. Most of all, they were willing to damage their own world to prevent conquest. That made them unpredictable. Vacor sent a second transmission. He ordered all Dominion ships to power down primary weapons and withdraw slowly toward lunar distance. The fleet began reducing energy output. Massive cannons that had destroyed military targets hours earlier went dark. Engines shifted to low thrust. The movement was slow and careful because gravitational distortions were still present. Human monitoring systems confirmed the change. Satellite sensors showed weapon signatures dropping across the fleet. The message from the Dominion was clear. They were no longer attacking. Inside Earth's command network, leaders reviewed live data. Trust could not be given easily. The Dominion had invaded without warning. Many lives had already been lost. But continuing the fight at full power could harm Earth itself. After final confirmation, the mission director inside Red Horizon received authorization. Slowly and carefully, system output began to decrease. The superconducting rings reduced speed. Energy pulses softened. Gravitational distortions around Earth started stabilizing. In the sky, the deep red glow faded into softer colors. Within minutes, the atmosphere returned closer to normal appearance. Dominion ships gained stable navigation as space stopped bending around them. Damaged vessels regrouped carefully. The fleet began retreating beyond the moon's orbit as agreed. Human defense forces tracked every movement. No weapons were fired from either side. For the first time since the invasion began, the sky above Earth was quiet. Cities below were damaged but standing. Power grids flickered back online in many regions. Emergency crews worked across continents. Humanity had survived its first contact war. Before leaving orbit completely, Commander Vacor recorded a final official log for the Dominion archives. He stated that Earth was not a suitable conquest target. Humanity's defensive strategies created unacceptable risk levels. He recommended permanent reclassification of Earth as a high-threat civilization. He admitted that the Dominion had underestimated a species that still used combustion engines and metal projectiles. Technology alone did not measure strength. Adaptation and resolve mattered more. On Earth, leaders delivered a global message. They explained that the Dominion had withdrawn and agreed not to return without peaceful contact. Research into Red Horizon would continue, but under strict control. Humanity understood that the galaxy was larger and more dangerous than they had imagined. They also understood something else. They had proven they could stand together when survival demanded it. As the sun rose over oceans and cities, the sky was blue again. The red storm was gone, but its memory would never fade. The galaxy had learned a lesson that day. Humans are not the strongest species. Humans are not the most advanced. But when pushed to the edge, humans adapt, endure, and protect their world at any cost. And if necessary, they can make the sky turn red. The galaxy learned something that day. Humans are not the biggest. We are not the strongest. We are not the most advanced. But we are the most dangerous. Because when everything is taken from us, when hope is gone, when the stars themselves turn against us, we do not break. We fight. We adapt. We survive. And if the universe ever forgets again, we will remind it. This is humanity.